You're listening to Home Sweet Home with Russ McClellan and friends. And here's Russ.
Hey, man, what a great show with Setema. You know, really, the guy's a high-level coach all around the world. Based in Southern California, Super Bowl champion, went through some massive adversity in the Great Recession, including had to sell that Super Bowl ring. But you know what? He's back, and his faith is strong, and his conviction is stronger. I would recommend you go to that website and check it out. Michael with Prime Lending, how are you, sir?
Doing well. Glad to be here.
Yeah. Hey, you know what I thought we'd do is here's the thing that I find fascinating about people right now in this world of unpredictability, I guess, to put it lightly. But, you know, a year ago, in 2019, rates jumped to about 5%. And they went from like 4 to 5 pretty fast. And now we're at about, I don't know, less than 3 in some cases.
2.875 and even lower. And on 15 years, you can actually get into the low 2s.
The low 2s, and when you factor in a primary residence interest deduction, you might be getting that money for darn near free. So here's the question to you, my friend. First of all, in the virus, when it first hit, and we all thought it was the zombie apocalypse, and people are going to be dropping in the streets like that crazy movie with Will Smith. I don't even remember what that was called now. It's a great movie where everybody engineered a virus and everybody died. Pretty morbid. But here we are, and now it's bad, but it's not quite as bad as the beginning. And then in the beginning, the creditors freaked out. The secondary market seemed to lock down. No land loans, no construction loans, no jumbo loans. Didn't know what was going on. But we're not really there anymore, are we, Michael?
Kind of slowly coming back now that all the investors, especially with jumbo, really is what it came down to. I mean, jumbo all but disappeared for 3 to 4 months. There was maybe one investor doing it, and you had to have nearly a perfect file to get any sort of approval on it. But we're starting to see a resurgence in Chase, Redwood, all the different jumbo investors come back with their 30-year products, as well as even some 15-year products, which is kind of, interesting that a lot of people may not realize, but 15-year jumbo loans are actually a little bit of a rarity. 30 years are a little bit more typical and easier to get, but the 15s can require quite a bit more as far as qualifying factors.
Right. And they're coming back strong, and now you're back doing construction loans. Is that correct?
Yep. Construction loans are back. So those are a minimum of 10% down, and they're very easy. All you need to do is find the land and the builder, and we can get them approved and, start construction right away. They just deal with our construction department, and the builder gets their draws, and everything works out easily. So those were on hold for a little bit, but they've since come back. So everything's kind of moving forward as things have kind of dialed down and people realize that, this is becoming the new norm, at least for, wearing masks and social distancing, and things are kind of hopefully starting to balance out even more.
Yeah. So where do you feel like in the future with respect to interest rates and programs? I know nobody in 2020 has a crystal ball, and depending on who you talk to, especially during this election year. But what do you feel personally? Where do you think we're going to be?
Well, all signs point to when the Fed continues to buy all these mortgage-backed securities, and there's no sign of them stopping, and they want to keep rates low to hopefully maintain some sort of normalcy in the economy and keep people wanting to buy and such, and keep that incentive going. I think for the rest of this year, 2020, and don't quote me on this, but I sure think and hope that they'll maintain, where they're at right now, and whether that just be low 3s, high 2s. And I feel like they've really steadied. When they first dropped down, when all of this pandemic stuff was going on, they actually spiked back up over the course of a week to almost the mid 4s, and then they spiked back down to under the 3s. So they were really volatile, but since everything's kind of normalized a little bit more, they've really held true in that low 3, high 2 mark. And now is the time. I was just running some payments with some borrowers that I was out looking at homes with, and just showing them the difference between a 3% rate and a 4% rate on what that can mean for a payment. It was a difference in him searching in the $400,000 range versus maybe the $350,000 range. So it makes a big difference for sure.
Yeah. The other thing that I've been telling people is, hey, I believe personally we're fishing in a stock pond, meaning if the fish are our inventory of houses for sale and the lures are the buyers, we're seeing a heck of a lot of lures coming into our little pond, and they're coming from everywhere. I've never seen in my 32-year career this many people move into north central Washington, and I've been here a long time. I've seen the big spikes in the 2004, 5, 6, 7 pre-recession days when everybody had $1 million with a pulse. This is bigger than that, and I think it's much more permanent. So the challenge there is this: if you have no inventory, or you're, like I use that analogy, you're fishing in a stock pond and that pond's not getting replenished, guess how much each fish is worth, right? Like, these homes are going up in value monthly, not annually, monthly. And that's a very scary thing. So what I'm telling the real estate brokers in our team, and we're almost 60 agents and climbing rapidly, is that, hey, look and tell people that a good deal might just be paying full price right now, because we're starting to see bidding wars, and people are scared. But if you wait, I believe you're going to see much higher prices in 6 months. I mean, I believe every month it's going up. And at some point, if you wait too long and those rates spike, you're going to get double whacked. All right. So right now is a unique time to be a seller because prices are incredibly good for you and the market's extremely strong for sellers. But it's also good to be a buyer because of these unbelievable historic rates. Would you kind of agree with that, or what's your take on it?
No, definitely. I think it would be a lot more challenging if we were seeing this high of an increase and this much demand in this area, or all areas really, but this north central Washington in particular, and have rates be in the high 4s, low 5s like they were in 2019. I think we would have a whole different buyer group, and things we may see an increase in inventory, but it's almost the perfect storm. You have buyers saying, well, I don't know if I want to pay that much. But on the flip side, if I wait, I could end up paying, more, not necessarily from the price, but the rate itself. So do I pay a little bit more and get in when this particular area is just on fire right now and people are realizing they can work remotely and there's just a mass exodus from the west side to come over here for a better quality of life? So it totally makes sense that, if you've been thinking about it, now is the time to do it.
Yeah, without a doubt. And we know that when things get as low as they've ever been in history, the odds are they're probably eventually going to go up. The difference the difference, I think, Michael, between this market and, back at the last boom, which was really driven by artificial wealth. I mean, when they weren't checking your income and loaning you $1 million.
Yeah.
That was artificial, and that was doomed eventually. This is legit money.
Exactly.
I mean, this is legit money, and people, like you mentioned, people are able to now live in north central Washington, 300 days of sunshine, clean air, clean water, beautiful lakes and mountains, less crime, less homelessness, less taxation. Frankly, would you want to live in downtown Seattle? And before, the people making the money they made, they had to live there. Right? Now, I'm not hammering too hard right now, but there are people that love the city.
Yeah.
I love to go to the city from time to time, but I can tell you this, if given a choice and I could make the money that I used to have to live in downtown and pay $1 million for a 2-bedroom condo, that I can come to, Wenatchee, Chelan, Leavenworth, wherever you want, Brewster, Omak, you name it, and for the same price, get a heck of a lot more house, I'm doing it. And that's that whole adoption. That's adoption of being able to work from home. So I just tell everybody, look, don't argue over that 10 or 15 grand because I'm afraid for you. I'm afraid you're going to be the people when you say, well, it's the principle of the thing. I don't pay full price for anything. Well, you may find yourself not owning a home. And if you can borrow money at 2.8%, 10, 15 grand is over 30 years at a fixed rate. That's a gift from the lending gods.
It's a no-brainer.
Yeah. So, All right, man. I appreciate you calling in. Sounds like you're the only guy that I know that's a lender showing buyers real estate and calling in on the radio station today at the same time. You're a man of many talents.
I know, and I don't know. Yeah, I'm not the one showing, but they wanted me there to kind of guide them and give my thoughts. So I'm still wearing a mask. We're practicing all the safety, but it's going well. So no, I appreciate it.
All right, buddy. Well, thanks again. Hey, as always, throw your phone in the drawer. Spend some time outside. Let those ultraviolet rays kill the COVID. Have some fun with people. Remember, we're going to get through this. Tough times don't last. Tough people do. Thanks again for tuning in. Have a great Saturday. See you next Saturday.
I have a new home. Home sweet home. Thanks, Keller Williams. I love my dream home.
The preceding program is sponsored in part by Keller Williams, Prime Lending, and Frontline Real Estate.
More complete coverage, more breaking stories. Here, News Radio 560, KPQ1S.